James 5, verses 19 through 20. Brethren, if any of you do err from the truth, and one converteth him, verse 20, let him know that he which converteth the sinner from the error of his ways shall save a soul from death, and shall hide a multitude of sins. So, the reservation of the saints, a sinner that errs, that is turned from his ways, shall be saved, and his sins will be covered over. But if he doesn't do that, then he'll be tossed into the lake of fire just like with everybody else, and he will go to hell and he'll lose his salvation. That's what it reads right here. That's what's going to be read by everyone who believes that you can lose your salvation. Holy Father, I pray unto you, Yehovah, that the blood of your Son, the blood of the Lamb, Yeshua HaMashiach, is not enough for salvation, that you will correct me in the errors of my ways. That it's not enough to save me from past sins, present sins, and future sins. You will explain this to me, my Lord, clearly. And that these words that I preach right now will dissolve into the ether and no one will hear them. But if this is true, my Lord, may you cut open a slough for the righteousness to enter into people's hearts. Ask in accordance to your Son's name, Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. As a side note, um, there's no big rush on the people from the opposite side of what I believe, the reservation of the saints, to change or challenge their own beliefs, because if I'm right, then they still go to heaven. But if I'm wrong, then they still go to heaven. Just a little matter of fact. So I'm basically playing with my own salvation and their thoughts. I'm rolling the dice. So why would I do that? Interesting, huh? A little piece of economics, a little piece of positive feedback loops, a little piece of incentives, so you understand that we are all mere mortal men and we are given to our own biases just like everybody else. I'm not above them. James 5, verse 13. Is any among you afflicted? Let him pray. Is any merry? Let him sing psalms. Any sick among you? Let him call for the elders of the church, and let him pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of the faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise him up. And if any have committed sins, they shall be forgiven him. Confess your faults one to another, and pray one for another, that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. Elijah was man subject to passions as we are, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain, and it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and the heavens gave rain, and the earth brought forth its fruits. Brethren, if any of you do err from the truth, and one convert him, let him know that he which converteth the sinner from the error of his way shall save a soul from death, and shall hide a multitude of sins. So which sounds right? That this verse has to do with your mortal soul, and that by doing the right thing, you secure your salvation. But if you do the wrong thing, you will lose your soul and lose your salvation. Or does this have to do with sickness? And by confessing your error, by um, by changing someone around from their heirs, their health won't be threatened in this mortal plane that we live in. Which of these two sound correct? Which of them does not? Does James begin a brand new thought in the last two verses of his letter about your mortal soul, or does this have to do with your health? Toward the whole thing, one continuous thought on your health and laying on of hands and sin uh, causing you to get sick and die. Is this all one thought, or is two thoughts, one with health and one with your mortal soul? Which one sounds correct? The other side, the reservation of the saints, says has to do with your mortal. This has to do with your mortal soul. Me, assurance, preservation of the saints, says this has to do with your getting sick on this earth and dying, caused by sin. Which sounds correct? Which sounds correct in context? What? I didn't use the Hebrew? I didn't use the Greek? How am I able to understand anything? How am I able to come to a conclusion on anything? I'm not smart enough to read the Bible on my own. I need someone to teach me. If there's only some more brilliant people out there than me, someone that spent 8 years of their life studying the Hebrews without having to study or work or do anything else. If there's only someone smarter than us to help us, to take away our decisions, to take away the ability to reason, least we fall into error, or fall into bad doctrine, or at least we lose our mortal souls. No, I did all this just by reading the context. That's all I did. And all the smarties out there that have the Hebrew, they get this thing wrong. A lot of them get this thing wrong. Now, there's some there are some scholars out there that get this right. All I did was read it in the context, in the King's English. Now, that's not even the English I speak. I read it in the King James English. Teachers, what are you doing? Telling people that they can't learn the word without having to spend 8 years in the language. Because that's what you're saying. You're saying you can't read the Bible, you can't come to conclusion, you can't lead a righteous life without me because you're not smart enough. No. Teach people the doctrine. Teach people to read it for themselves, so they don't need you. The purposes of a teacher isn't to teach forever, it's to teach them so they learn, so they can go on with their subject matter, building upon that. But if you don't even know the foundations and you're talking to me as if, oh, you need to know the Greek, you need to know the Hebrew. Well, I don't know either one of those, and I still got this on you. I still have assurance of salvation. I'm still don't leave myself to a couple of verses that I actually can read things in context. And everyone can do that. There's a place for grammatical, looking at the grammar, looking at the syntax of the word, looking at the words how they used over time. Yeah, of course. But understand, is that to help someone to learn the word, or is that to or is that to shield yourself from any criticism that you're just making stuff up? So that's what it looks like to me. A lot of people are making stuff up and hiding behind a degree in seminary, or hiding behind a degree in the languages. That's what it looks like to me. But what do I know? The right answer to this question, it's about health. If you like this and you want to go further, read this book, Prosperity versus Austerity Doctrine. Subscribe to this channel, like, share, discuss, fight it out in the comment section. Maybe I'll come down there with you, hooligans. Talk to you there. Hey, love you. God bless. And If you have Christ, you have him forever. If you're covered in the blood of the Lamb, you are assured to the glory of him who saves us, Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.